All right, new year, new button.
Hi, this is Mike Ross, public address announcer for your Toronto Maple Leafs, and this is the Leafs Late Night Podcast, your post-game destination. And now, your starting lineup: Roscoe, the Fanalyst, Southey, Beener, and Darty Brodeur on the Leafs Late Night Podcast.
Ooh, we got a new tune. We got not a new room, but that was going to run. Same room, new setup. So things look different. Could you believe, if you've been here since day one, I don't think there's any way, except for the fact that this shelf is wow, it's hard to point backwards. This shelf is the same. This is all new. I've got some stuff on the wall. I will shout out the artist who did these next episode because I forgot to look it up because it's been a really long time. I bought these so long ago, and they've been sitting in a pile. So now they're up. And welcome back to Steph the Fanalyst.
Yay! Oh my god. It's been so long, I almost forgot what you look like.
Yeah, by the time the wedding came around, I was like, oh yeah, that's who Steph is.
Yeah, oh my god. No, it's so nice to be back. I know it's been so freaking long and so many changes have happened in all of our lives. I mean, you're in a different room, same room, different setup. I'm in a different room, different setup. I mean, new year, new me, new place, and new Leafs. So.
And I gotta say, no comments on where you've been, but you can look quite tan.
Oh, well, I did go to the Dominican in September. I mean, I've been trying to keep my tan, but I'm pretty pasty.
She's always on a beach somewhere. I feel like every time I'm cold, I just open Instagram and it's like, oh, look, Steph's somewhere warm again. I'm jealous. Anyway, I shouldn't be saying anything because over the last, this is where I've been. I got married, went on a honeymoon to France for 2 weeks. That was cool. It was gorgeous. Crazy experience. Highly recommend if you are looking for a place to do something like that, like a tropical kind of getaway. The south of France is gorgeous. Also went to Mexico with all my friends for our 30th birthdays because our 94 babies that we all turned 30 last year at different times. So that was like a month and a half after we got back from the honeymoon. So lots of flying in the span of 2 months for me. So once that was done, it was straight to Christmas and then New Year's and lots of driving and just been exhausted. So here we are.
30, flirty, and thriving.
Yeah. Feels a lot like 29 did, but, a little bit depressing.
Every time, I was ready to record the pod, I'm like, hey guys, who's all in? Roscoe's like, sorry, I'm in Mexico, or sorry, I'm in France. And I'm like, oh, okay. Or Beener, I'm in the UK, or someone's doing something. So this year, I've been with it. I've been in the loop following the season and, life happens. That's okay. You blink and, the older you get, the time flies so freaking fast. But you know what? So happy to see you back in September there for your wedding. That was amazing.
Oh, so glad you guys could come.
Oh, it was so fun. It was so nice to see Southey and celebrate you and the wifey and yeah, just happy to be back. 2025. Can you believe it? This is our 4th season.
I cannot believe that.
Craziness and yeah, just the Leafs, everything, the NHL, things have been so weird this year. Like, I mean, we had a goalie power play goal before a Matthews goal to start the season.
Yeah.
Just craziness, like just different little finicky things that happen. But we're back, took a little half-season break, and we're back to give you the fill-in and our mid-season review and everything in between.
Heck yeah. So we are 46 games into the season now, so just over the halfway point. So after we do our little post-game analysis, which we're going to get back to doing more of this year, we're going to go through, we'll call it midterm report card grades. So we're going to go through the roster and different aspects of the team, like 5-on-5 and power play, PK, I think that's it. I don't know if there's anything else to grade, but yeah, we're just gonna give letter grades on how they're performing versus how they should be performing, or how we thought they would coming into the season, how they, are being paid to perform, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's our little game exercise for today. That's what we're gonna be talking about. So stick around. You'll hear all that, and also thank you to everybody who sent in responses to my question, which is a whole 0 of you, and I don't blame you because we've been gone and no one's watching our Twitter. I said that because I had 3 notifications on X. That was not supposed to be like a backhanded compliment, by the way. I legit saw notifications on Twitter and I was like, oh great, people answered. Oh, it wasn't that. So
I didn't even see it. Okay.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. We deserve that. When I'm not posting, I think it's just like the algorithm's not pushing my stuff up anymore, because I used to be able to just post random stuff during the game and get like, no matter what it was, it'd be 20 to 40 likes. Now it's like 2.
Right.
So it's just, I got to start posting again and it'll push me
Guys,
back up there.
It's the freaking X and the blue skis or whatever's out there now. We have new apps roaming around, which I'm still not in that loop. My apologies to everyone on the Discord, but maybe soon when I actually put some time and effort into making a profile, because you know how fun that is. But yeah, Elon has really messed up our Twitter world, and I'm looking forward to some more positivity surrounding the X Games and all that. So yeah, maybe we will, move on to blue. I don't even know how to say it.
Blue Sky?
Blue Sky?
Yeah, it's Blue Sky. It's made by the people that initially started Twitter, or like it was a team from the old Twitter that was made to create a decentralized social media app. I don't really understand how they work, but people seem to like it. I still have to check it out. But if we both enjoy it and everybody seems to be moving over there, we will migrate over, because I very much don't like Elon Musk. But not getting into politics. There was something else I wanted to say before we touch on the game. I had to stream the game again tonight, as I fucking always do. And I was watching it on some site, and it was a feed from the UK through TSN. So it was a TSN feed that some UK channel was playing, but I forget what it's called. But it was like Sports Vinter was the tag that came up. And so I was like, wait a second, is this English or is this in like German or Swedish? Anyway, so I look up the channel. Apparently it's in the UK, but it's directed towards Swedish, Norwegian, and Finnish viewers. So they play like their sports and stuff. Anyway, so there was a bunch of interviews with like Swedish and Finnish players between like how, you'd see Friedman sitting down between periods with like, all the lighting and everything. And it's like a nice looking interview, one of those things where you'd see all the Canadian guys. This was like all of the Northern European ones. It was so interesting to see, just like, oh, they do the exact same thing we do, but in another language. Look at that.
Wow. So it was blacked out for you?
Yeah, that was kind of my point. I feel like more games this year than last year have been blacked out. And that's kind of been the reason I've missed a bunch this year, is because like it doesn't work. It's hard to do on my phone, and it's hard to do on my TV. And if I don't have my laptop out, it's just like, do I want to go through all this? I don't know. Let's just do something else. Ugh. And I know that sounds very un-Leaf fan of me, but when we're not doing the show, it's very easy for me to not fall into watching the game. So I've missed a few, but just because of this stupid regional blackout stuff.
Damn. Fun fact, now after the new year, since Sportsnet raised their prices, it costs per month, if you want to watch Leafs on all available platforms, so you're able to get all games, $54.98 Canadian.
Per month?
Per month.
That's
with
insane.
All subscriptions. So you know what? I don't blame you, especially, people stay away from cable because we can't afford that to begin with. And now we have 3 different platforms we have to keep up to watch the games. And it's just aggravating. I mean, this conversation has been brought up in the past. It's still going around online. Like, I just wish there was a one-stop shop for everything and everything in between, even from betting or some sort of way to manipulate your platform to show what you want to show and like to see. And it's just a missed opportunity in my opinion. But
I think we're getting there, like technology-wise, not to get into that field too deep for a sec, but I think we're getting there where you're going to be able to put like whatever into one thing. But I think the bigger thing is the NHL has been dropping in ratings and viewership over the last like 2 years, and I think it's been highly publicized over the summer with like the WNBA finals getting more viewers than the NHL, and then there was days when like I think it was opening night was like the lowest in 30 years or something. Like they've had some really bad numbers being headlines, and that's not good for Bettman. That's not good for the owners or the league. So I think it's going to be hopefully in the next couple of years where we see whether it's a change in leadership there or him saying like, you know, because it's the broadcast rights owners that I think make the decision to black it out like that. So they might end up coming down on them and saying, look, we got to change with the times. We're losing viewers. We have to make it easier to watch the game, not harder. It's not stopping people from being a fan of your local team by stopping them from watching games. Like it's just, we're not in that era anymore. At one point I got it, like, or I understand that at one point it did make sense to do this, but it doesn't anymore.
Yeah. One thing, just to touch on that too, that's new to this season, I gotta say, I'm loving Prime though. The Prime broadcast is so good. Man, it's so refreshing to finally see a panel that, you know, appears unbiased and actually compliments the Leafs and, you know, shows those highlights where you're actually learning something about the game for your new viewership and then actually analyzing plays down for those who understand what's going on. So it's just like totally different, refreshing type of scene, and I'm all for it. And of course, it's nice if you're a Prime member, it automatically comes with your package, which I feel like 90% of the world is nowadays. But
oh yeah, well, I feel like with Canadian broadcast, there's always been this inherent like they talk about the game as though you know everything about hockey and you watch every game, because for a long time it was so ingrained in Canadian culture, and it wasn't so like out of reach for people to afford, like for the majority of the population. Like it used to be so much easier for people to do this, and you know, people had well, they still do, but there were more kids like living with families playing in other towns and things like that. So it used to be that so many more families were involved with hockey, and you could assume that most people know what you're talking about. So I think Canada needs to take a step back and realize that like they still need to keep adopting new fans and not assume that everybody's always watching. So like you said, it's cool to see on Amazon that they know that it could be anyone tuning in for the first time, just because again, like you said, it comes with your Prime subscription, so anyone could watch the game.
I mean, the hardest part was trying to get my dad to open up his smart TV and log in and get the game on. But I mean, once we had that down path, it was all good and we're smooth sailing. But other than that, all for it. And the Leafs have a great record on Mondays. They're 3-1 on Prime. So
nice. Something similar I was watching on Christmas Day, one of the football games on Netflix, and at halftime they took a question from Twitter that was somebody watching from like Abu Dhabi, that was like or El Salvador or something, saying like, this is my first American football game, like what are the lines, and like 1st and 10, like what does that mean? And they were like explaining the game, and it's the same kind of thing like on Prime where they're like, yeah, all right, so some people, a majority of you are probably watching for the first time because this is the first time that we've carried this sport. So
hell yeah, it's cool. Always growing. Yeah, Brian believes, actually, I saw one of his posts yesterday or today that he had his first sale in Italy. So
oh, nice.
Yeah, that was awesome. Congrats to you, Brian.
Cool. I totally forgot we're live on YouTube. We have one person watching. I wonder who it is.
Welcome.
I want to save talking about the World Juniors till we have Sadi here, because he and I actually went to a game, but there was a bunch of stuff I wanted to talk about as far as Canada losing and you know, what our experience was like going to the game. But yeah, we'll save that till when he's here so we can talk about it, because I mean, they were his tickets, so it's only fair.
Yeah. I mean, those goal horns you played for me before this episode were pretty sweet. So I feel like there was inspiration there with our new intro. And yeah, next episode, hopefully we'll play some clips for you.
Yeah, and let me know what you think of the new one. I might have a couple of them on deck. We'll switch up like between 3 of them every now and then. I'll have different versions for different vibes. Maybe we'll have one for when they lose, like a Hello Darkness, My Old Friend vibes. But no, we're good here. Let's talk about the game. Leafs and New Jersey. We got the return of Sheldon Keefe to Toronto for the first time.
Last game of the year between the Leafs and the New Jersey Devils, and I'm so happy we ended 3-0. Oh, yeah. This could have been bad because, just thinking of, other team relations with Berube anyways, Leafs are not doing well against the St. Louis Blues this year. So at least we can take a couple W's from our old pal Keefe and say, as Marty said on Twitter or X now, that you got Berube. I love that.
Yeah, it's interesting to see what I think are really minute changes between the team this year and last year. But before we get into the game, like, what are your thoughts on just the eye test? Like, what does this team look like? Oh, fuck, I can't talk anymore. What's different about this team than it was under Keefe? Like, what are the biggest changes that you see? Not to get too like technical, just kind of like the general look of the team.
For sure. Just right off the first glance, starting from the beginning of the season, you have to highlight the goaltending. The fact that we have Stolarz and Wall tandem this year, it's just been absolute, like, it's a game changer completely. Even with Stolarz, but if you're thinking about tonight and facing Keefe and his team, I mean, a couple years ago, if we're down in the game, there would be very little chance that we'd come back and win the game. So the fact that it's been low scoring and the Leafs can come back and actually tie it up and get ahead, it's a different narrative, in my opinion. The Leafs are playing a tight checking, more physical game, and it's not just going to be a high scoring, get your top guys opportunities, and that's about it. I mean, throughout the year, we've had contributions throughout the lineup. Lately, it's been more of the top six, but it's more of the tight checking, low scoring feel to the game out of anything as well.
No, that's good points. The things that I think I've noticed that are most glaringly different is Berube is more willing to make changes almost like mid-period when a line's not working. Like, I know Keefe shifted things around a lot, but I feel like Berube won't stick with something just to prove that it works. Like, I feel like there's been a couple times where he'll take, somebody like, who did he have? Lorentz playing on the first line the other night?
Yes.
Against Dallas. Like, things like that where it doesn't really matter who you are. And I feel like he uses the third and fourth line more, so it showcases those guys instead of just in, kill the puck situations. So it lets them shine, and it's given them opportunities to move up and down the lineup. I also think, like you said, the tight checking and more physical, better net front. But the things that are the same, I mean, like, I know it's the assistants that handle special teams, but the power play looks a lot like the same it did last year. The defenders are different, so there has been better play from OEL and Tanev.
Right.
But I think there are still a lot of the same strange mistakes from the defense that we've been having the last couple seasons under Keefe. I don't think that's changed. And I don't think the reliance in tight situations on just running the top guys, whether they've been playing well or not that night. I don't know how I was going to finish that thought, but you know where I'm going.
Yeah, the thing about with the lineup changes mid-game, sometimes it irritates me, not gonna lie. Like, for example, when Lorentz played on the top line with Matthews and Marner, by the mid-second, that experiment was over. And I don't know what specifically happened for Berube to change his mind, or he just wanted to get back in the game and bring more offense to the team. But I mean, give it a little try. Like, Lorentz, seriously, I was joking about this weeks ago that, oh my God, Lorentz is doing so well, you might as well play on the top line. And then it actually happened. And when I saw those practice lines, I was like, oh my God, am I psychic again? But hey, I feel like with the mix-ups, I mean, you got to find chemistry between different players, but some people, it feels like they lose their role. like it feels like they get a little confused, and especially on the power play, right? You mix between a 5-forward power play back to D on the point.
Yeah.
In the beginning of the season, we saw OEL change up with Riley, mixing up that point shot, and then there was a little trial with, I believe,
McMahon as the fifth.
McMahon tonight as the fifth with JT out after unfortunately getting hurt in practice today by, I don't know if you saw that clip there. Tanev slew-footed him against the boards. Like it was just a honest mistake, but damn, I hope he's okay. But I feel like the roles, especially, they just need to be solidified. And I mean, when you have a successful third line like Domi, Robertson, and McMahon, why are you going to break that up? You know, like that line brought so much offense to this team for a solid couple weeks or so, just to break it up at the end of the day. And I mean, people go through slumps, like they get cold and such, but like there has to be a balance. And sometimes when you change up the lines too quickly, it kind of seems desperate, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's definitely like I don't think it's a good or a bad thing that he tends to change things more quickly than Keefe. That's kind of something I've noticed, is that he does get a little finicky. He's a tinkerer for sure.
For sure.
But I did like that line, the Robertson Domi McMahon one. I think they've all been. I mean, Domi, we'll get there with the report cards, but
right.
I think all of them got stale at the same time, and I think that's like they all started off great. McMahon was, out of the gate so hot, and I thought he was, I thought our issue of not replacing Bertuzzi was kind of solved between him, Robertson, and Nyes, but then they've all kind of had their streaks of cooling off. So I don't know. I feel like they needed a bit of a shakeup, but again, if it's not going to make a difference, you're just kind of changing things around for fun. And we're past game 42 now, so we got to start getting serious.
For sure. I'm all about, testing out lines, creating chemistry, just in case those injuries happen, and bringing up guys from the Marlies and giving them that shot. But I feel like your core, your main players who won't get sent down, need to be more solidified among the lines. And hey, I'm all for giving guys shots. Like McMahon, like he started off the season hot, and then of course gets cold, and then you mix him around between the first, second, third line, and it's just players get frustrated, it seems. Even tonight during the Devils game, the first half of the game, they panned to Marner's face a couple times, and he looked very, frustrated with those plays. And then you have Willie there the other day being like, what's the big deal, guys? Like, we just lost 3 in a row in regulation. What's the big deal? So there's that conversation as well. If players have the same mindset within the team, and because you have OEL 1 minute saying, losing sucks, I hate losing, and then a guy like Marner or even Berube being like, it's okay, or like, it's fine. So it really depends how, I guess, players manage their stress, manage their load, and there's pros and cons to everything. So.
Well, I mean, I think the Leafs have always been notorious for not having like a full cohesive team. What do you call it? Like how the Bruins have an identity. The Leafs don't have and they never really have. They're a collection of identities, we'll say. And that's just, it's by committee, right? It's not like there's a something that the Leafs are known for. You look through the stats, and every time, I mean, the evidence is Marner and Matthews breaking every record because there hasn't really been anybody doing what they've done before. So,
right.
It's not like we're known for being super physical or being high scoring or high defense. It's kind of changed with the era. So it's a collection of identities is the best way I can put it. But let's talk about the game. We got 25 minutes into this already. Let's talk.
Yeah.
So, first period, I mean, last time we played the Devils, it was super, super low shots for the Leafs. So, I mean, points to Berube here for watching game tape and adjusting and talking to the boys about what to do, because clearly Keefe knows how they play. So it's always hard to get out of the gate against them. But what did you think about first and the first 10 there?
The first 10, you know what? Devils scoring on the first 3 shots or first 5, whatever it was. And I was like, oh crap. 0 shots for the Leafs. Oh, here we go again. Is it going to be one of those games where we have 5 minutes left in the third and the Leafs barely reached 20 shots? Or are they going to put the gas, pedal to the metal? Are they going to come back and give some momentum in this game and actually try and not give up? And luckily, you know what? Seeing the total at the end of the day, 41 shots, I'm happy because the one thing I yell at the TV or at the game is freaking shoot, the thing I yell the most. So, it's crazy to me. And Berube has said to the media multiple times, whether he's pinpointing specific players such as Domi or just saying like, we need to get pucks to the net. We need to play a north-south game, like all pucks to the net. Simplify your game. And sometimes the Leafs get a little too pretty, which is a habit that carried over from previous years, in my opinion, and just can't get down to playing simple hockey. But tonight, they shook off that first Jack Hughes goal and, coming back in the second period, William Nylander, who hasn't scored in 11 games, really needed this one.
Oh, and Domi needed that assist too.
Yes. Oh, man. Willie.
It's wild. They said he's like, 7th in scoring on the season. He's got 25 now. He didn't score for 11 games, or he had 1 in 11 games. Like, the fact that he had that many for the first, 35 games of the season is crazy.
Yeah, he was definitely a huge replacement from what we're used to with Matthews scoring multi-goal games or everything in between. So with Matthews out, Marner, Tavares, Nylander took a huge step this season, and I'm obviously so here for it. But Nylander, I don't know, man, like after this winter break, he came back with the biggest hangover, or he like was on withdrawal mode or something. Like he just did not look like himself. And I thought, you know what, maybe it's just the first game back after the holidays, and then the second game happens and the third game happens, and I'm like, oh my god, this floating bullshit is like, I don't want to see it. Like I just don't wanna. But then tonight, finally, to own up to his words, like, what's the big deal, guys? Okay, bud, put a couple on the board, and then we will shut the fuck up at the end of the day, too.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I feel like he just needs an ego check. Like, things were coming too easy for him for too long, and he just needed a reminder that he does have to put in a little effort to score. It wasn't just, happening. It is because he's really good. So, congrats to Domi and Nylander there for a beautiful little play to tie it up. But here's the unfortunate downfall the Leafs had tonight, which was within almost to the second, both goals that they scored, 2 minutes later, they gave up the go-ahead goal for the Devils. So, and literally like 6 minutes, 14 seconds to 8 minutes, 14 seconds, and then 7:43 to 9:44, so almost exactly 2 minutes apart on both of them. So, look, they did a good job of holding on after New Jersey scored, not to get deflated and to stay in it and come back like immediately off the next faceoff. But they, for some reason, did not hold on after their own goals. They're still getting a little too comfortable, which, like you said, is a problem that they've had in the past. So, something they got to shake off.
Yeah, this Nico Hischier goal on the power play, I felt like he was all alone in front. Myers did not have his man, and he was, a millisecond makes all the difference in the world. You can see him rushing in, but, you had plenty of ice for Nico, and I don't blame him for scoring that one. So, yeah, it's just unfortunate, and it kind of all leads from, I believe this was the power play that was from the Marner hook. Was it?
No, his was this wouldn't have been in the last 20 seconds because his was during the Leafs power play already, wasn't it?
Oh, that's right. 20 seconds, and then they had the man advantage. I wonder what. Oh, okay. Oh, it was a OEL tripping call against Nico. Which that was just unlucky, honestly. But just touching on power play for a second, you get those old Leaf bad vibes when Marner and Nylander are passing the puck from the point back and forth, just get broken up with this 5 forward unit for a 2-on-1 that goes the other way that draws another penalty, and then it screws it all up in the end. Like, it's just this inconsistent layout, this game plan that seems to be so shaky. Like, they have a vision in mind. You can see that they're trying to do something, but it's like, damn, just one little flick of the puck. Like, the team's studied their power play and they're on it. They know that the Leafs are going to pass along the perimeter, and then they're going to have that big block just to go the other way for an odd man rush, and it's just a breakaway, and that leads Marner to reach. He's going to get a hooking call because he doesn't want to let Wall get scored on, and it just becomes chaos.
It's like, it reminds me of Michael Scott when he's describing like the 100-point plan to save the company. It's like, all right, so here's our plan for the power play. 100 points. Point 100 is the power play goal. Okay, what's point 99? Like they have like this insane series of events that has to go perfectly right for their plan on the power play to work, and there's like no room for creativity and adapting there. And I feel like, I know I've talked about in the past how hard it is to coach superstars like this, or how hard it must be. Like, I say that like I'm talking from fucking experience, and I'm not just literally an armchair GM over here. But the hard thing is getting them to stick to a system instead of doing what their superstar instincts and creative bone wants to do. But I think on the power play, that's where you kind of have to let them be a little silly and do something unpredictable, because if you're going to write it all down on paper and have guys that can out-talent 95% of the league be following a plan that is so simple, like an AHLer could follow it, like, is that really how you want to utilize these guys? Like, I think the higher end talent you have on that power play, like, the more freedom you kind of have to give them in that 2 minutes. Like, if they have full domination of the zone, let them do something that's going to catch the other team off guard, instead of having a system that's built for any player,
Yeah, totally agree. But sometimes there's too many cooks in the kitchen and people get a little confused. But I got to say, on this Austin Matthews power play goal in the third period, this is where you have a simplified play, just simply executed, where Matthews taps in the rebound off a Nylander point shot, which I've been yelling all season for, because, guys, if you're going to have a flank shot on either side, you're going to pass around the perimeter on the point, just shoot the damn puck, guys. All pucks to the net, please. You have big body Matthew Nyes on the doorstep. You have Austin Matthews coming in from the corner, perfectly in position. Such an easy goal it looked like for him. And sometimes it doesn't have to be that perfect shot. You just have to have no hesitation. Even that, I'm thinking of a goal by John Tavares in the first, I believe, 10 games of the season this year, where he just had a little spinorama and shot the puck and it went in. And I'm like,
oh, yeah, I remember that one.
Like, yes, finally. Like, just don't hesitate, because I feel like even in the last couple of weeks where Nylander or even Marner, and I hate to say anything bad about Marner sometimes, because obviously he's our point leader. He does amazing things. He's utilized in every role, right? But it's that split second hesitation that either makes or breaks your play. And I feel like he would have 15 more goals on the season if he didn't have that hesitation when it comes to shooting the puck.
Yeah, Marner's the only player, and again, he's been fantastic this year, and I'll take back a lot of the shit that I gave him in the summer. He's the only player I've ever seen have a breakaway and then turn around and look for a pass. Like, just sometimes in tight situations, his brain just short circuits, and it's so funny and so annoying.
Yeah.
But I don't even know where I was going
No, it's true, right? Or even like a guy like Domi, who, Berube came out after the second game of the season saying, I want Max to shoot the puck more. And it's been a topic of conversation the entire season. And then when he has a perfect chance, he's like, and then he just like loses it or just shoots super wide and it goes off the glass or something. And you're just like, oh, like there's so much potential there. And when you have this superstar power play unit, you wonder, hey, should we split it up a little or should we, go all in? I mean, we do have some awesome shooters on this team that are pretty underrated. I gotta say, Myers, our defender, who surprisingly got called up this year and stuck around for a little bit. This guy's been pulling off 95 to 101 mile per hour shots. Tonight he had over 100 mile per hour shot, and I was like, damn. And one of those shots went off Myers' shin pad from like 6 feet away. I thought his leg was going to be broken in half. It's just one of those things that I believe, especially with our power play, that we're missing that big point shot. If we're going to have a D on the quarterbacking it anyways, like why not try other guys? I mean, Riley's been he obviously got bumped. Yeah, and I think daddy season got to him, or he's had a lot of late nights or something. But yeah, we have options. I mean, OEL, another collecting captain situation, and
his shot is great from the point.
Absolutely,
and he actually takes it.
He actually takes it, which I love. Like these new guys who come in, even, Fraser Minton being called up today. Berube wanted him to have one more practice before coming up, but his time with the Leafs, I believe he played 10, 11 games. He was solid, and he wasn't afraid to take that shot and use the body. I mean, the little guy's ripped. Like if you saw that pic with him holding the belt, you're like, holy shit, in 1 year his acne cleared up and he gained 30 pounds in muscle, it seemed like.
Yeah, he's listed here as 6 feet, 195 pounds. And he had in 11 games 2 goals, 2 assists, which, I mean, 4 points in 11 games for somebody at 20 who's kind of not really part of the team. That's pretty decent.
Yeah, and mostly played on the third line. Had a couple opportunities on the first line, just some shifts. But hey, I'm super excited to see him come up later on. Maybe we'll see him play on Saturday. But just back to the game real quick. Oh, man, speaking of superstars, if there's any time to activate our superstars, it was a time like tonight because Pappy, Nylander, like these are the guys you want to lean on. JT, unfortunately, out. But if you want a quick snipe into the top corner, Will and Nylander always looking for that breakaway rebound on the overtime goal. Man, I'm so happy they cashed in and got the 2 points and said, see ya to Keefe. Don't want to be ya.
Yeah, and as there's 2 sides to it. As annoying as it is that they've had to fight their way back or, give up a lead to go to overtime a lot this season, they have won a lot of these overtime games. A lot of that's fallen on Matthews personally, but it does show that they are better at holding on through 60 minutes instead of just kind of giving up once they're down by too much, or it shows that they'll fight till the last second, which, not that they didn't do that before, and I'm not trying to make this about Berube and Keefe, but it's just because they played them tonight. I'm kind of thinking about it. All the things you're looking at are, how they're going to become playoff time, and that's kind of what matters is when you're in those 1-goal game situations, like how are you going to handle that stress? And they've been pretty good about how they handle it this year, so.
Yeah, Leafs coming in. Confident. Absolutely. Leafs coming in 4-2 on the season on the overtime win. So yeah, it's very nice. And also back-to-back games, right? Like another thing from previous seasons is that we didn't have much success winning our second end of a back-to-back. So hopefully with games coming up, we can change that around because it's those points that matter and that keep us at the top of the Atlantic. So it'd be nice to see the Leafs take that title.
I have way too many back-to-backs this year. I do want to talk about the top of the Atlantic thing after we finish this off. So what do we think about Joseph Woll tonight?
Joseph Wall. You know what? Everyone loves Wall. I have love for Wall, but he's not the best goaltender in the world. There's definitely some shaky moments. Obviously, the team needs to help out in front, but lately, for me anyways, he's been a little meh. I mean, the last couple of games, they said on the broadcast that he was an 8, what was he, an 836. Good thing about Wall, career high in 16 wins, now 17 wins, but things have to be a little better in my opinion. But just talking about goalies real quick, this is the third goalie that's won against the Devils this year for the Leafs. We've had different goalies win against the Devils each time, so that's a huge plus.
Let me just check. I was on, it's on Hockey DB. It says he has a 907 on the season. He had a 875 tonight. He's had some ups and downs this season for sure. I feel like Joseph Wall's been good in high pressure situations, but then all of a sudden when things kind of slow down, it's like some weird goal goes in. Like it's kind of easy to catch him off guard, it seems. And those are the ones where the Leafs kind of start to get deflated as a whole when it's like, oh shit, like after everything we just did, like that went in. Are you serious? It's had a lot of unlucky ones go in this year too. So I think that's kind of the growing pains of starting more games this year than he ever has.
For sure. I mean, Wall did have a shutout this year against the Vegas Golden Knights. And, as I look at the ESPN game log, they outline a top performer for each game. And recently they have tagged Wall's name a lot because he'll go on a 5-game heater, but then have a couple shaky games that make you question, like, what happened during those 5 games where, he had an excellent performance. And obviously, you don't want to blame everything on the goalie, but in my opinion, sometimes luck is definitely on his side, and there is always room for improvement. And this year, especially, I've been watching the games with my new partner, and before this season, she's never watched hockey in her life.
Aww.
But this year, she became an epic Leafs fan all on her own. I warned her in the beginning of the season. I'm like, you know what? After the summer, Leafs play 2 to 4 times a week. I'm going to be watching the games, like recording a podcast. Do you mind? Like, I can go in the office. Whatever. She's like, yeah, you can go in the office. Watched one game, obsessed. She's like, no, we got to watch the game. Oh my God. And then afterwards, she's like, I want to go to a game. Like, I want to go to a game a month. And now that she knows exactly what's happening, what's a PP, a PK, like all the rules, it's nice to hear someone's opinion that's unbiased beside me as we're watching the games.
Awesome.
Because she doesn't right. So as we're watching, we'll be talking about what's going on, and she'll be commenting because she's not shy, and she'll be like, what? Like, is Joseph Wall okay? Like, and we're saying, like, the Leafs look like they've never played hockey in their lives. Like, what's going on today? Like, or just have little nicknames for, like, certain players, like McMahon is Brother Nylander because she thinks they look like twins. But anyways, the commentary gives you a different perspective from a new fan who, has no idea what happened in the past in the NHL. And it's nice to know she confirms as well that the bias from the panels on every broadcast, like depending if it's Sportsnet, TSN, not Prime though, it's crazy. They're like, wow, Buffalo lost 13 games in a row, but the Leafs lost 3 in a row and they're shitting their pants. Like, they're going insane. I'm like, see what? This is why I'm so stressed out. This is why I gotta have a drink. Like,
yeah, because they drive us to it.
Yeah,
I swear
exactly.
that the LCBO has like a stake in Rogers.
Exactly. So with Wall though, love him. Have my brick wall shirt. I always want the best for him, but obviously, always room for improvement. The buds in front have to be great to hopefully have a successful game for him, because we can't always just rely on our goalie. And I think that's an old habit from the past where, Leafs relied on their goalie a little too much. And then we blame the goalie because they're like something out, like Samsonov. He had one great year and then the next year he was like, But we got to play our way out of those struggles and help our goalie out. So when you have guys like Tanev and McCabe, it is a world of difference. And tonight, welcome back, Jake McCabe, because you were severely missed.
Thanks,
Oh
McCabe.
my God.
Wow. But yeah, it's like the Leafs. I mean, look, goaltending's changed. It used to be that there's, 30 guys for 30 teams that were all good enough to play 70 games a season, or I should say, like, yeah, no, about that. We'll say that. We'll stick to that. And the Leafs kind of rode this thing through the 2000s and late 90s, and I guess into the 2010s, where it was like, let's just get a really good goalie and not worry too much about the defense. Like, as long as we've got one of these otherworldly goalies, or at least one of the top ones, we'll be fine. And what if they got them at the beginning of their career because they were supposed to be good, or at the end of the year or their career when they had been good for a while, or in the middle of it? Like, it never seemed to be enough. But now it seems like they've got the compromise of, like, let's go with some less tested goalies and spend the money on defense. And whether this is all Stolar's work, or the games that Wall has won, or it's all Tanev and OEL and the new combos, like, I think it's everybody. I don't think it's like, I don't think Stolar's has what is it, a 927 and 215 goals against without the defense in front of him, and I don't think that the Leafs defense has as easy of a job without him behind them. So I think it kind of goes hand in hand, and they've been lucky this year with how that all panned out. Because, look, it was a huge question mark. I say lucky. I'm not going to say, this was a great plan, because, like, Woll and Stolarz were the biggest question marks of a goaltending tandem going into the season as any team had. So
yeah,
this was really luck that it worked out. And that's why they still kept Matt Murray in the system, and they still have all these other guys, and they left cap space to potentially grab another one. Like, they didn't know this was going to work, and they keep doing this every year. They can't keep getting away with this.
And we started the season off with Joseph Woll injured.
Oh, yeah.
So that already, crept into our minds, like, here we go again, training camp, whenever it was, he gets injured, and we have to lean on our 1B. But you know what? Things happen for a reason. We saw the potential of Anthony Stolarz. Oh my God, just won a cup with Florida. I mean, he backed up Bobrovsky, but at the same time, he was coming into the league with one of the top stats for goals against average and save percentage. And he kept that. Like, he maintained that, and just everything about him. Like, he's another story where, you feel for the guy. He started from the bottom. Now we hear sort of deal. Like, even with Matt Murray and his injury struggles, and, I was hesitant with Matt Murray, and, you got to give it a shot. And kudos to Matt Murray for breaking back to the NHL after over 600 days of being sent down to the AHL.
Well, then not playing from having, like, he had some surgery again, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't know what was going on there. A whole bunch of stuff, because he was, he started off well with the Marlies, but they were rotating between the other goalies, and then you have the Hildebeest, of course, who you want to give some games in the NHL and get him going. And yeah, I feel like the Leafs goaltending depth is finally solid. I mean, if we had the debate between Wall or Stolarz, I'm fine with either. Like, I don't have any hesitation, whereas in the past I'd be like, oh shit, like, this guy's starting, sort of thing. But this year I feel confident. I feel like our team's identity is definitely changed based on our goaltending alone.
So Matt Murray had a bilateral hip surgery known as a double hip replacement, a surgical procedure that replaces both hip joints with artificial parts. That he is my age. He is 30 years old. That sucks, my guy. Like, I cannot imagine. Oh,
30 going on 50.
Yeah, right. He looks it.
But oh man, no, you only want the best for him, right? Like, he obviously has success in this league, and I mean, being from Ontario, you want to play for your childhood team and have success here as well. But hey, we don't know what the future holds. I mean, Stolarz also coming back in a couple of weeks, hopefully. Just to talk about him for one sec, I love that the back plate of his mask, it says prove people wrong. And on the bottom it says, Rule 76, no excuses, play like a champion. I'm like,
He's
yes.
so serious.
Yes. Oh, yeah, I know, right? But
just
anyways.
to bring us into a close, because we're not going to have time to do report cards tonight. We'll save that for Saturday hockey night in Canada. Hopefully we'll have more of the team too.
Yeah.
But injuries have just plagued this team this year, and I'm hoping we just, knock on wood, got them all out of the way now, so that come playoff time, people have been rested and all that, because my God, like Matthews has missed 15 games. Tavares has already missed 2, and now he's going to miss a couple weeks. McMahon has missed time. Domi's missed time. McCabe has missed time. Pacioretty, obviously. Robertson, Camp. Like, so many of these guys have been out for different periods, and it's not helpful. And then, obviously, the goalies. But it's a little scary to have these things be... like one-time things is whatever, but like with Matthews, it's becoming a bit concerning that like we're never going to get an 82 game season out of him, but we'll talk at lengths about that in another episode.
For sure. And we all know that, injury only provides opportunity for others, and without those injuries, we may have not seen the two Nylanders play together this year. We may have not seen Nikita Bankin play this year, who has been like a nice, quite surprise there. I mean, a lot of people were at.
We never would have gotten Simon Benoit, and Timothy Liljegren might still be a Leaf,
Right. Seriously though, because after training camp and preseason, you have like a list of guys who get cut, and you're like, too bad. Like maybe they would have had a shot, but you know what? They eventually come up and make a statement in this league. And unfortunately, with brother Nylander, Alex Nylander, he was given that one-way contract for $775 and had to clear waivers to get sent back down. And of course, he cleared because his production was not as great in the NHL compared to the Marlies, but he deserved it. I mean, he played like Alex Steves, right? They're the top 2 guys on that team, I feel. And like I would just see videos on X, Twitter of, Nylander scoring hat trick, Nylander scoring, and then he comes to the Leafs and it's like, Nylander, are you here? Hello. So
yeah, I think it's going to be weird being on the top line in the AHL, going to the 4th line or something in the NHL and having like a completely different role on the team. So I think his problem is, like many that have plagued the Leafs prospects and AHL pool, is that there's guys that are good, but they would have to be on the 1st or 2nd line, and they're not good enough to bump anybody off of our 1st and 2nd line, so they're never going to get that opportunity. So they might have to go elsewhere. Like, we're kind of locked into a top 6, or at least 4 of the top 6. So if you want any of those jobs, you have to be better than your brother Nylander, or Tavares, or Marner, or Matthews, and that's just not going to happen unless you're a generational talent. So
right,
but it's kind of a weird situation for them with bringing guys up. But it's always nice when you get those like Bobby McMahons or Steven Lorentz. So.
Oh, hell yeah. And that's a prime example, right? Bobby McMahon, who also filled in for injury last year and just stuck to this lineup. You just have to make the most of your opportunity. And I really, really despise the whole conversation of, if they were on the 1st or 2nd line, it would be better. None of that, because we had that convo with Nicky Bobby, among others, who have been given plenty of opportunity and still, give him credit. He's had great games. Okay, guys, don't hate me for this. But Nicky Bobby, some days he's making himself trade bait, right? Because he's been put in all of these scenarios and he can't convert unless you're playing against the Dallas Stars, except with the exception of last game. But anyway, you just have to make the most of it. And I feel like Nikita Grabankin did that. I feel like obviously McMahon is the leader of that. And we also have to remind ourselves that Calle Yarncroke is also on IR. And
I always forget he's still a Leaf.
Right.
And
so
is Hakanpää.
Hakanpää, yeah, Hakan Powell. So I wonder where these guys are going to slide in because, even tonight we didn't see Benoit. We had Myers instead because of the return of Jake McCabe. So when Hakanpää comes in, like I wonder who's going to get scratched and what decisions will be made because even Ryan Reeves, right? He's been limited to 28 games this season. And, I think that's purely because of his gameplay too. Like Ryan Reeves has been kind of meh.
He's
like
got 2 assists through 28 games. That's pretty mediocre. For
and
the money they're paying him too. Ugh, don't remind
most
me.
importantly, 0 fights. This guy has not fought this year. We're over halfway through the season. I mean, I understand the locker room presence. I understand that, he's in the hallway hyping up the guys and like he's amazing to film, but I want to see the production on the ice. He looks slow as fuck. He looks like a grandpa who can't even catch the guy to initiate a fight. Like he's not the old Reeves. I mean, he's having too much fun in the locker room, it seems, and he needs to prove himself if he wants to stay on this team. But anyways, these other guys who want that opportunity. Yeah, right. But these other guys who want to stay, like even Connor Dewar, right? Like this guy's a workhorse. He's made good and bad plays, but at the end of the day, he tries hard, and you can see that with the eye test, in my opinion, anyways. And like Philip Myers, Berube loves this guy clearly. Like he would have been sent down ages ago. So next game, we'll see Fraser Minton, hopefully, and we'll see what the lineup will look like for us. And recover soon, JT, because you are always missed. And yeah,
this has been a massive season for him. When we go through the report card, we'll get to that. But the thing I want to close on here is just first place in the Atlantic. This is something that we've been talking about. I think we talked about it in preseason. Like this was, hopefully the year that they can go for it because it's been the one thing that they have not been able to do the last couple of years. I think there's a bit of an asterisk. I'm not discrediting the Leafs at all. What I am throwing into the mix is that for some reason, it doesn't matter how well the Leafs were playing over the last 4 years or whatever, I'd say just coming out of the pandemic, there was some team on a fucking historic run where they break every franchise record, like whether it was Boston or it was Florida, or it was Tampa. There was some team, it's like, oh wow, the Leafs are like 35-10 or something. Oh, the Bruins are 46-1. Cool, like whatever, I guess. Like there was always that one outlier that's like, this is like a once in 75-year run for this team, and it's happening when the Leafs are also having a great year, but not that great. So This is the first time it feels like, and I just told you I wasn't trying to take away credit from the Leafs. This is the first time it feels like they're actually getting the credit they deserve for being in first place in the Atlantic, because they could have been any of these other seasons. It was just, both Florida teams and Boston decided to break all of their records one after another. So,
right. And I think a big difference maker too is that, this year the Leafs are actually winning those low caliber games, which they would usually lose against shitty ass teams.
That was like something I wanted to say when we were talking about Berube. Thank you for bringing that up. But go on.
Yeah, because you know what? It was so frustrating. I mean, we do have a couple of frustrating losses under our belt. I mean, in October, we lost 6-2 against Columbus. There was also a 3-0 loss against Ottawa. But, I mean, getting those other points.
Are flukes. They don't
count. But all the other games in between, I mean, getting those points against other teams such as, Buffalo or Detroit or Pittsburgh, like Chicago, it's just nice. Like, I don't want to see the Leafs take any days off. I don't want them to play down to their opponent, because that's one of the most frustrating things to watch as a Leafs fan, because we know their potential. We see them, kick the shit out of previous cup winners from last year before, but for some reason against teams who won't even make the playoffs, they couldn't pull out the W. So this year, huge difference for me, which also changes the narrative of the Leafs, just finally sealing the deal against these kinds of teams and earning those extra points to solidify our spot in, the top 2 positions in the Atlantic. And it feels so nice. And if we can stay consistent with that, I mean, should be good.
Should be. So with that, let's get out of here. Free Wheezy, y'all.
Ignore that, please.
For anybody who's not watching, there's a Free Wheezy poster behind Steph. And it is...
This is not my room.
But, okay. No, but between Free Wheezy, Alice in Wonderland, and Marilyn Monroe, I feel like I am back in college in 2014 again, and it is amazing.
This office is full of her childhood stuff. Okay, goodbye.
I'm just hate. None of that was hate. Okay.
I know. I questioned it before. I'm like, is Wheezy free? Or
oh, he's
like,
free.
I don't. Yeah, I don't follow clearly, but
there should be like an amendment over that. Like, congrats, we freed Wheezy.
Next time on Leafs Late Night, visit our updated poster to see what happened with Wheezy.
Oh my god. Oh man. So no, we'll be back on Saturday, hopefully with more of the gang, and we'll go over how the Leafs are doing up till now, and who has met, exceeded, or not met. What's the opposite of succeeded? Expectations.
Failed.
I guess failed expectations, but yeah, true. Okay. Good night, y'all.
Good night.
Thanks, Steph.
See you on Saturday. I'm so happy we can do this because I swear, Roscoe, if the Leafs would have won the cup this year and we didn't do an episode, I would have fucking eaten myself on this. Yeah. I had to come on. I've been waiting to rant, and oh boy, like it's just obviously we're on great track, and of course, yeah. Anyways, life. And I'm so sorry, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. But we're back, baby.
Let's do.
Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Leafs Late Night, your night of post-game podcast. Available after every game on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, and more.
I just got a notification, and I thought you just added somebody in fantasy while we were talking, and I thought, wow, that's sneaky and rude.
That definitely wasn't me, but if anyone wants to trade a defender in our $100 or $50 league, please send me a trade request, okay?